I remember, crazy Donald Sterling stories from when I first moved to LA in '92.
Yeah, for years they didn't hire enough trainers.
Yeah.
Like they literally would get guys hurt. Baron Davis partially couldn't recover because they didn't know how to diagnose stuff. They wouldn't pay for stuff. He famously wouldn't pay for an assistant coach's cancer treatments.
Yeah.
So the players ended up picking up the tab on that.
Isn't he still in a lawsuit, I think, with Mike Dunleavy, the former coach, about money that wasn't paid? There was the other lawsuit with Elgin Baylor, the former GM, about...
Who, by the way, Elgin Baylor, who talked about the plantation mentality, and there's a lot of stories that, well, I'm not going to pick sides, and you know what, turns out we can pick sides. Elgin Baylor, 100% right, Donald Sterling, 100% wrong. Another great story about Donald Sterling and how dumb and inept this guy was. He said, I don't know whether it's part of the lawsuit or elsewhere, when he hired Elgin Baylor to be the general manager, he had not realized that Elgin Baylor had played in the NBA. One of the 50 greatest players of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Sterling used to pull this nonsense where players would go to pick up their checks, and he's like, let me just pay you next week. And he would purposely not pay his players because he wants to keep that money so that it accrues interest for one extra week. He's a massively cheap, underhanded scumbag.
And then Blake Griffin and Chris Paul get handed to him, and DeAndre Jordan, and then they hire Doc Rivers, and it's like, forget all that other stuff. Forget that 30 years of really running a double-A minor league baseball team as a national basketball association.
He never even intended to win. He just wanted to make money.
I know, it's just he totally lucked out. But here's some of the other stuff that Donald Sterling has said over the years. We mentioned the lawsuit with Elgin Baylor where he talked about a plantation mentality with the Clippers. I think we can count that as just a flat-out win for Elgin Baylor. To a property supervisor in 2002, sworn testimony. Again, Donald Sterling owns a bunch of land and property buildings in the Southland, as they say on the news, and nowhere else. That's because of all the blacks in the building. They smell, they're not clean. That's Sterling in 2002. Also from that lawsuit, and it's because of all the Mexicans that just sit around and smoke and drink all day. I don't like Mexican men because they smoke, drink, and just hang around the house. And these are all from the same lawsuit. Is she one of those black people that stink? Just evict the bitch. I'm offering a lot of money for a poor black kid, he said. That was in regard to Danny Manning and signing Danny Manning in 1988, allegedly in David Stern's presence. I'm offering a lot of money for a poor black kid. On Koreans, sworn testimony. I don't have to spend any more money on them. They'll take whatever conditions I give them and they'll still pay the rent. 2009, according to former general manager Elgin Baylor, Sterling envisioned a, quote, Southern plantation-type structure for the Clippers, one in which, as he allegedly put it to Baylor, said this to Baylor, poor black kids from the South played for a white head coach. This has all gone on. There's the biggest federal lawsuit in history for housing discrimination against Sterling for going out of his way to evict black and Latino tenants from his homes. He's a terrible guy. That's why we know this is true, because there's no doctoring of the tape. This is exactly what that guy would say. Now, Jeff Pearlman is a writer, New York Times best-selling author. He's written 6 books. His latest book is Showtime, Magic, Kareem, Riley, and the Lakers Dynasty of the 1980s. He was a senior writer at Sports Illustrated and an ESPN.com writer. He is a serious, reputable sports writer. In 2013, when the Clippers hired Doc Rivers as their head coach, so a full season before we get this nonsense, Pearlman wrote this about a headline, The Eccentric Donald Sterling. He didn't include this in one of his books because it didn't fit in, but it's a great story. So again, this is from Jeff Pearlman. He talks about Paul Phipps. He says, those who really follow the NBA remember Phipps as the GM of the Clippers from October of '82 until the end of the season in 1984. Nice executive, nice man, genuine credibility, and eye for talent. He interviewed him several months ago for a book he's writing about the NBA in the 1980s, maybe for that Lakers book. He told me a story about Sterling that didn't make the final pages, says Pearlman, but it stands out nonetheless, and it particularly stands out now. According to Phipps, during his time with the team, they were searching for a head coach to replace Paul Silas, a black head coach that Sterling had, who he fired. We needed someone different, Phipps told me, and one of the first guys we talked to was Rollie Massimino. Basketball fans all know Rollie Massimino, coach sort of like to the Tommy Lasorda of college basketball, coaching at Villanova, won a national championship, stunned Georgetown, and a fun guy, the pasta sauce, talking, overweight, and clearly a great basketball mind too. At the time Massimino was coaching Villanova, it was known as a guy on the rise. He flew in. Pete Babcock, the director of player personnel, were impressed. He was organized. He had a great philosophy. We liked his approach to practice. When they got done with him, the Clippers were in San Diego. He had to fly from San Diego to LA, then back to Philly to return to work at Villanova. Sterling hadn't met with him because he doesn't meet with these guys. He smartly at least let the basketball guys handle it. So Sterling calls and says, hey, I want to meet him. Babcock and Phipps go, oh, like, we like this guy. We'd rather he not meet the owner, right? Because they're not idiots. So Phipps says, oh boy. Sterling told Phipps he'd sit down with Massimino at the gate at LAX for the guy flying from San Diego to LA. And then they told Massimino that Sterling's a bit eccentric. He'd probably have his shirt open and 6 gold chains sticking out. And then they said, Raleigh, he likes to have other women outside his marriage. And there was this one blonde girl who was his friend. So they warned Massimino of this. But he's the owner. He gets to meet with him. According to Phipps, Massimino boarded the jet. When he landed in LAX, he exited the walkway and he spotted Sterling. They met, said Phipps, and between 3 and 4 in the morning, my phone rings, and it's Massimino, and he's screaming. I'm sorry, he says, I'll never work for that son of a bitch, says Massimino. So apparently he showed up with half a bottle of champagne and this blonde bimbo with him and the gold chains and everything, so he's drunk. And then Donald Sterling walks up to Raleigh Massimino and says, I want to know how you think you can coach all these niggers. And that was 1983, 84. And then for 30 years with this story and others like it, we knew this. And then again, I'm just struck, and we're all guilty of it. We all felt, I went to a Clippers game. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. It's great. But this has always been a bad guy. Everything in here is 100% true. It is 100% what he said. And the league has got to figure out a way. I mean, I know I said that they're going to have trouble doing it because they don't have the antitrust exemption baseball. They got to figure out a way to force this guy to sell.
I don't even think it's that hard of a slippery slope. You know, the slippery slope argument that, oh, if they start kicking out guys like this, then they're going to have a problem on their hands. They don't have a problem with having track records for players. Rasheed Wallace, now Meta World Peace, formerly Ron Artest. When there's a track record, which a lot of times I don't like the track record argument. If a guy gets into it in games, he gets into it in games and he's going to get the normal punishment. And if you get more on him, but when the whistle blows faster for certain guys, I don't like that because that changes the whole game for people who aren't on the track record thing. This guy does have a track record and there's no other comparison to it. If you find someone else in the future that has a comparable track record, kick his ass out too. This is the same way it goes. Nobody can actually fight this. If you're a racist asshole for your whole life, you don't belong here. It's a privilege.
Take your $685 million and go.
You know what I wish? I really wish that on these tapes, Sterling had just said nigger instead of said African American. Because that.
He didn't even say that. I think he said black, but which is fine to me.
Yeah, black. Now, if he had just said nigger.
Yeah, it would have been. But I think there's some.
I think the outrage would have been 10 times greater, right?
I think the outrage is.
He said the N-word before, right?
Yeah. This is
so clearly he learned over the years. Well, just don't say it, and then I'm not a racist then, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
Mm-hmm. Although I'm
but
sure
if he just said it, then it's even more obvious what he really is.
He just didn't say it to her.
Yeah.
I'm sure he said it in the last few months. I don't have any doubt. And it's real people who are affected by his stuff. I mean, forget Doc Rivers and Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and as you say, and the white guys on the team, JJ Redick and Turkoglu, and but he had people living in his houses. Yeah. You know, who knows how many lives he upset and wrecked, at least temporarily, or displaced temporarily because of his bigotry.
You know, I've sort of changed my opinion just in the course of this conversation because I actually agree with what you're both saying about that this should come from the bottom up. Let the players, I know we shouldn't put the pressure on the players to have to make a stand, but let the players or Mark Jackson and Doc Rivers say we're going to delay this a half. I mean, do something powerful that will then force the NBA's hand. Because I have a feeling tomorrow, regardless of what happens, they're going to say they're suspending him, at least for the playoffs or something, while they investigate further. But do something really powerful that's a seminal, teachable moment that comes from the players. This league is, I don't know what percentage black.
About
this
80.
league is probably 80% black. Okay. I mean,
Isn't that right, Jayar? Is it something
even
like
if,
that?
even literally, if it's just a half-hour delay, screwing up the TNT programming for tomorrow night or ESPN, whatever it's on, do something powerful that gives the power back to the players. Chris Paul, who plays for the Clippers, obviously, is the president of the Players Association.
Totally.
I mean, they have a lot of leverage here, and there's a lot of things that they can do. And let it come from the bottom. I
don't think the NBA is going to. I think the NBA will let them take whatever stand.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, and on that, again, going to the being just further than the black players, and now further than the Clippers. Because after the game yesterday, they asked Mark Jackson, who's the head coach of the Warriors, who just kicked the hell out of the Clippers last night, that he said, we're all affected by this. Because they asked, do you sense any lack of energy from the Clippers because of what they've gone through in the past 24 hours? He goes, we've all gone through it. You know, I don't want to say I feel like they were affected by it. We've all been affected by this. And to an extent, I called bullshit on that. Yeah, you were affected by it, but not to the same extent. This isn't your organization that the owner of the team is espousing these comments. So, and again, then reaching past just the 80% of black players. If there's going to be a boycott of a game, and again, LeBron came out, everybody's come out talking about it, as you said, David West. If we say the Clippers and the Warriors should boycott a game, man, every game of this playoff series, everybody in every game should not play. If you're going to unify and not play, this is a league problem then.
Yeah, they should.
Don't play any games, not just this one series.
Yeah, in a sense, it's too bad that Chris Paul is the head of the Players Association because if he were Kyrie Irving, if he were in, just pick a guy, if he were in Cleveland, then it would make more sense if he said, we don't want to put this all on the Clippers.
Right.
Like, let's have the whole league take a stand here and not play. But now if he does it, he'll be like, I don't really want to be the only one.
True, right?
But I don't think there's any question. Like, I think I accidentally hit on something there. I don't see the Warriors. The Warriors have no interest, I imagine, in taking advantage of the Clippers.
But so what I
agree with
all wasn't to say he's scheming, but
I agree with all of this, but I would also like to see some significant action by the owners. I would like I like the Buss family to say we don't want to share a stadium with this fucking asshole. I want him out of the Staples Center. We're going to do everything we can to kick him out of the Staples Center. I want to hear Mark Cuban talk about this. All the high-profile owners should just stand up and say we're not with this guy.
Just real quick. But you're a lawyer. You know how tough. Like those things, like you can say it, that's great, but I'm sure they can't kick him out.
That's fine.
Yeah,
right. You should make this stand.
Look, if you took it just on a basketball level, I agree with you. The Warriors would never take a free win on that. But you know what? Somebody that could do it, LeBron could say, I'm not playing tomorrow. They're up 3-0. They're going to destroy that team. They don't even need to play the other games. And then you know what? The rest of the Heat would join him anyway. But imagine if just LeBron James sat out. That's it. They lose the game anyway, probably. I mean, actually, they may win. But if LeBron, the face of the league, said, "I'm going to sit out," I mean, even the message in that would be something.
That's too much burden on LeBron.
I think
it's asking a lot.
Look, all these things would be cool. I think it's critical that I don't think the burden. I think the burden is on the union to some extent. But it's the owners. It's the people with the money here. And I think the union needs to take a stand, and I think they need to be united. But I think you make a great point, Dave, but I worry about, like, that we then have a feeling of, like, that if they don't do this, that somehow that it's gutless. Like, I don't think it's on them. Donald Sterling is part of that club. And that club is the club that needs to take the action. The league and the owners, and to some extent, I think the union needs to figure out a way to have a unified response, as you said, with all teams involved.
How happy is David Stern that he's like in Hawaii right now drinking a Mai Tai? You know what I mean? He's going, whoo, Adam Silver.
He's like, Adam, don't fuck it up.
Yeah, because to some extent, Silver is at least moderately inoculated, although he did work for the league, of course, from the how'd you let this guy hang around? Because now we're getting all these other stories, which again were out, but they were piecemeal. Now, well, it just shows you, as always, as Mel Gibson learned, you put it on tape, you put that tape on the radio and television, it changes the whole nature of the story.